Assalamualaikum to Dr. Asma. My name is Muhammad Hazim Hatta. My metric number is S60701. Today I will present about early detection of Opistorchis viverrini in fishes using targeted gene as a preventive measure for bile duct cancer. For the introduction, Opistorchis viverrini, common name in South Asia is a liverflug. Is a foodborne trematode parasite from the family of Opistorchidae that infect the bile duct. Mostly people are infected after eating raw and undercooked fish, and this infection, which the parasite is called Opistorchiasis. Opistorchis viverrini or O. viverrini is an human liverflug that remains an important public health problem in South Asia. The infection in the Thailand, where an estimated 8 million people are infected with O. viverrini, and for worldwide is above 600 million. This disease can cause a chronic infection that may lead to cholangiocarcinoma, a malignant cancer of the bile duct. For problem statement that I have is a human Opistorchiasis caused by the liverflug Opistorchis viverrini is a major fish-borne terminated infection that can lead to bile duct cancer. For an objective, the objective for my study is to evaluate the develop and validate a sensitive and specific PCR method for reliable detection of viverrini metacarcariae in fish. For the cycle of Opistorchis viverrini, the adult flap deposit fully develop eggs that are passed in the feces after ingestion by a suitable snail for the first intermediate host. The egg release miracidia, which undergo in the snail several development stage called spirosis, ridiae, and carcariae. Carcariae are released from the snail and penetrate freshwater fish for the second intermediate host, insisting as metacarcariae in the muscle or under the scale. The mammalian definitive host, such as cat, dog, and various fish-eating mammals, including human, became infected by digesting undercooked fish containing metacarcariae. After ingestion, the metacarcariae exist in the duodenum and ascend through the ampulla of Vater into the biliary duct, where they attach and develop into adult, which lay egg after 3 to 4 weeks. The adult flags reside in the biliary and pancreatic duct of the mammalian host, where they attach to the mucosa, and it will be a cancer. For methodology, the first methodology is preparation of genomic DNA from O. viverrini adult worm and metacarcariae. Metacarcariae were extracted from freshwater fish. We use Puntius SPP. 200 metacarcariae were ground on ice in a microfiche tube in 0.5 ml of extraction buffer. For the second method is amplification, cloning, and sequencing of random genomic region of O. viverrini. Random amplification of genomic DNA of O. viverrini was accomplished using arbitrary primer CRA23 and CRA25. For the third is primer designing and optimization of thermocycling condition. The primer TREM24F and OV254R were designed to amplify 229 base pair region of O. viverrini genome. For the fourth is testing specificity and sensitivity of primer. The specificity and the primer was determined by performing PCR using pure genomic DNA. The sensitivity of the optimized PCR protocol using primer TREM24F and OV24R 25 for R, was determined using a serially diluted of all viverrini genomic DNA. Nucleotide accession number. The nucleotide sequence data generated in the study are available in the Gen Bank under following accession numbers such as AY584735, AY786353, and AY786354. Okay, for the result, sequencing of unknown genomic portion of all viverrini and primer development, 11 fragments ranging in size from 0.5 to 1 kb were sequenced following random amplification and cloning. 2 sequences were found to be the ITSII region of all viverrini. The optimization of PCR assay, the PCR at annealing temperature of 60 degrees Celsius was optimal for the primer pair TREM24F and OV25-4R in a tag polymerase buffer containing 2 mm MgCl2. In annealing and denaturation, the data shows nothing for the specificity and sensitivity of PCR assay. PCR was able to detect 3 metacarrier where PCR was performed for 35 cycles. The sensitivity of detection could not be improved further by increasing the number of cycles to 40. This is a 2 sequence were found to be the ITSII region of all viverrini. Okay, for the discussion, first is agar-agar gel showing result of primer specificity assay using DNA from different source. Determination of sensitivity of PCR using 10-fold serially diluted all viverrini DNA, and sensitivity of PCR for the detection of all viverine metacarrier spike into fish tissue. This demonstrates that the target sequence for PCR used in this study is present only in the genome of all viverrini. This all viverrini specific genome sequence is different from the nucleotide sequence used for development of primer for all viverine. The sensitivity of the PCR was found to be the sufficient height, being able to detect up to 10 to 12 ng of DNA in TE buffer. PCR assay is capable of detecting 3 metacarrier fish, which seem to be a sufficient sensitivity. Nevertheless, efficient sampling technique and DNA extraction procedure need to be developed and validated to ensure efficient detection. This is a picture after the electrophoresis. Agarose gel showing of the primer specificity assay using DNA from different source. And this is a picture after electrophoresis for the determination of sensitivity of PCR using full serial diluted of all viverrini DNA. Okay, this is a result of the electrophoresis for sensitivity of PCR for detection of all viverrini metacarrier spike into fish tissue. For the lane M, 100 BP DNA ladder. Lane 1 positive control, lane 2 negative control, lane 3 15 metacarrier of fish, lane 4 is 10 metacarrier of fish, lane 5 5 metacarrier of fish, and lane 6 3 carrier of fish, and lane 7 is 1 metacarrier of fish. For the conclusion, aquaculture fish playing an important part in the international trade. Ensuring the safety of fish for human consumption has become critical. To evaluate the success of hazard analysis and critical control point (HACCP) approaches in reducing hazard at various phases of food production, sophisticated DNA-based tools must be used. PCR provide the benefit of screening a large number of samples in relatively short period of time with excellent sensitivity and specificity. PCR tests described in this work provide a reliable way for detecting of viverrini metacarcaria in feeding fish. PCR method will be used in epidemiological research to determine the transmission of opisthochiasis from fish to people. That's all from me, and thank you. Last but not least, this is the reference that I use for this study. Thank you for Dr. Asma for this SEM, and I hope you can give me a good mark. Thank you, Doctor.